Wish me luck.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of GeekVerse podcast. I am one of your hosts, the Gravedigger, Taylor Field, and I'm joined by...
I'm the Big Don, Kirkland Patzer.
Yes, we're continuing our review of Spider-Man, I guess your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, with episodes 3 to 5 today. It's going to be a good time, good discussion. But before we get into that, a couple of plugs. You can find us with your internet connection in the search bar. GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerse is our Twitter. GeekVerse is our Facebook. Be sure to check us out on the Patreon where we can get ad-free, exclusive, early episodes available there. It's a good place to be right now because there is lots of stuff on there like newscasts and retrospectives like Daredevil, which me and Kirkland are progressively making our way through. I'm on episode 4 now of Daredevil season 3. Or how far are you in?
I finished the first episode, so
You finished first? Okay.
couple episodes behind.
Cool. But yeah, there's lots of stuff on the Patreon, so go check it out. And especially big shout outs to our Patreon producers, Aaron Braden, April Darkness, Jack Grant, Mud, Sam, Superbad Mike, Godlessby69, Jeremy Renner, and Charlie Randell. You guys are fan-freaking-tastic. Thank you for everything that you do. So without further ado, let's get into it. Just a brief non-spoiler overalls of these episodes this week. Kirkland, how did you feel?
Yeah, not really much to say non-spoilers, just because I think there's a lot of heavy plot stuff going on in these bundle of 3 episodes that we got here. But the one thing I can say is I am continuing to absolutely adore this show. I think it's so amazing, it's it's basically everything I wanted out of a Spider-Man show. So I think they're doing such a great job with this, and I feel like I'm just a glutton right now. I'm so happy that every episode has been like a solid 30 minutes as well. Like I feel like we get a lot of time. Just digesting the content, and it's fantastic. The animation, I feel like I can't even see the stuttering now. It's weird how that happens. I would watch the Dragon Prince on Netflix, and it has that like 3D animation, and I would like watch the show, hate the animation because it's like kind of stuttery like that, and then I'd get in like I don't know a couple episodes in, and then I just wouldn't see like the stuttering of it at all anymore. And then I'm getting the exact same thing with this one now. I feel like I'm really actually enjoying the animation. The art design is just fantastic. I think all the colors pop really well. Some really, really great character development stuff going on, some really juicy things that are going on. And I think they're just doing a really good job at making it feel like a true, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man story where he's just fighting crime in his neighborhood, but like real, and not just have a fresh coat of paint on it, but like really evolve, I think, some of the familiar stories that at least I'm familiar with, and like really not like rewrite them, but like, yeah, I guess rewrite them to a certain extent, but like just add like a modern twist or flair on it that just makes it feel really original, even though there's like familiar names, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I really, really loving this show. I'm really liking pretty much all of our characters that we have. So yeah, no, I'm like, this is even more so than last week. I feel like last week was just such a nice surprise on, oh man, this show, like it's really awesome. It met my expectations. Now it's like, oh man, like they're continuing to just exceed my expectations with what they're able to do with this show. And I'm digging it. I'm 2 thumbs all over this one. So I'll pass it there because I just want to jump into some juicy stuff that came out of it.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same hype train as you are. I think that they're just dishing it out every week so far, and I really love this narrative, and I love how last week it ended on a pretty big cliffhanger, and so here we are, and just following off from that, and it's there's a lot of there's a lot of dynamics in here that I am really, really enjoying. I don't know what this Roman numerals guy's talking about a thumbnail. We got a thumbnail on there, so I don't know what he's talking about. It's a great thumbnail too. But yeah, I think so far what's going on with these characters is great, and just how their relationships are evolving. And I think things really picked up on these couple of episodes here. But yeah, overall, I think that we're in a full swing now with what's going on, and I'm actually really liking one dynamic a lot more than I was expecting to enjoy between two characters. I was thinking I wasn't gonna be very fond of it because I know what one character is, and I mean, not from like I'm sure there is a dynamic here where this relationship between these two characters in some comic book is much like this, and this is not the first time we've seen this kind of friendship unfold. But for me, I only have the one the one example of their relationship to look at, and it's not a positive relationship. So I don't have much of a backstory or basis on these characters, and so that's where I think, okay, this is cool just to see this different spin on this, even though it's very similar to a story we've already seen. But again, it's hard to really follow along with what I'm putting down because I'm being so mysterious
Speaking in
about it. But
riddles.
speaking of riddles, yeah. So I'll just bring it up when we get into spoilers. But yeah, other than that, I think it's a great show, and I think anyone that if you love Spider-Man, you got to be watching the show, and if you're a big fan of Marvel, you another reason just get into this show because it's super freaking awesome. I think it's continuing off of this hot streak that we had with X-Men,
Mm.
the animated or
97, yeah.
'97, yeah, just coming off of that. So, anyways, we're gonna get into some spoilers now. So, I mean, where do you want to start? Do you want to go episode to episode? Do you want to combine everything and just get into it? Where do you
Um,
feel?
we can go episode by episode.
Episode
I
by
mean, I
episode.
feel like I usually bleed into, other episodes when I do it this way, but I'll try my best to keep it contained. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
episode 3, Secret Identity Crisis. Peter deals with the fallout of his of his secret revealed. Meanwhile, Lonnie's perfect life falls apart. Yeah, I mean, starting basically where we left off from last week, we start with just Peter interacting with Norman, and I will say, like, I feel like we were predicting how that interaction was gonna go. I feel like you mentioned him like being really, I don't know, cordial towards him, and like, yeah, you saved my son, and like I'm really just a fan of what you're doing. I think you said that on the review if I remember that correctly, and that's basically exactly what he did. He's like, yeah, I just want to support what you're doing and give you basically a blank check, like the Oscorp funds to do all these things, and let's do it. Let's
Did you
be
see
the
those
friendly.
menu prices, by the way?
Oh man, yeah.
Like $150 for like chicken shank or whatever it
Yeah.
was.
I saw 175 on one of them, and Peter got a few, so he
He
was
did.
feasted. I respect it. He did say, help yourself, but yeah, no, I was just surprised that it was going this way because I pretty much I feel like every time I've seen Norman, it's been pretty nefarious from the get go. And of course, like Willem Dafoe's version, like he starts friendly towards Peter, but I don't know. I just feel like it's so hard to look past like the crazy goblin of what that character becomes. I don't really ever see him as being like a longer period of time working with Peter, or at least that he knows like the Spidey identity. I think just all of those factors together was really surprising, and I'm really digging it. I like it. I don't think it's gonna last forever. I definitely think something's gonna happen. Um, yeah, we'll get into that. But yeah, I think something is gonna happen that turns him to maybe the extreme that will lead to Peter clashing with him and potentially Harry as well. But yeah, I just think the initial setup of Norman being kind of the guy in the chair and like pretty much doing like what Tony does for Tom Holland's Spider-Man of having like the Stark tech. Now he's got the Oscorp tech where he can have these fancy suits, and yeah, it wasn't this episode where they do the suit mashups, but the next episode I thought that was really fun, and just kind of trial running all the suits, that was really good. And yeah, I think just because Norman is such an intense individual, at least just how he's portrayed in the different iterations of I almost said Peter Pan of Peter Peter Parker and Spider-Man. I think I just really expected him to be very villainous right out of the gate, and I like the nice guy Norman. I like the twist that it has.
Mm-hmm. I do too. I think, and this is the relationship I was alluding to, where I don't know any other relationship between Norman and Peter outside of the Raimi films, where you just have, like you said, this very nefarious, and evil, sinister goblin who's just like attack his heart, kind of living. That's his daily motto. So it's really nice to see this different take on him, and I'm not even getting this. Oh, he's just a Norman Osborn, Tony Stark kind of vibe. He feels very much different from Tony Stark, and the way he admires Peter, where Tony Stark was, "Hey, I want you to be better." Like, yes, Tony gave him a suit and was letting him do his thing, but it's just it's a very different type of support. Where this guy is like, "Hey, whatever you want, name it, and it's yours." Where Tony was like, "Hey, like I know you want to be more, and you're naming all these things you want, but you got to earn it. You can't just have it." So there's two different levels of guidance here, and I like that we're getting this different take on it. Um, and again, we're getting a very reluctant Peter when it comes to it too, which I like. He's only doing it because he sees all these past due bills on Aunt May's desk, and he wants more of those lamb shanks or chicken skewers, whatever he's ordering. So there's some of that, but yeah, everything with the suits was a lot of fun. That was really cool. I like that, and I like how it's paralleling too, which we'll get more into. Lonnie, right?
Mm-hmm.
His kind of dynamic. It seems like both him
Yeah.
and Peter are on uh, this pathway forward, but opposite ends of the spectrum, I guess, from each other.
Yeah. No, that's a big tragedy that's gonna be coming to us. But we won't talk about that yet.
Yeah, yeah.
um, what else happened in this episode? So yeah, they're working together. We get introduced to two interesting individuals, like the couple, basically the Bonnie and Clyde individuals that have. I don't know. I think initially when I saw like the electricity attached to the property, I'm like, oh, is this going to be like a shocker or something like that? Twist on a character, but no, it just seems like they got some tech, which I would imagine is from Mr. Doctor Octavius himself, who we I don't think it was this episode. We see him a little bit later on, but yeah, no, it was really sweet shots, like when they're popping off and attacking Peter. I just thought the animation design was just so beautiful. I thought it was like
Mm-hmm.
chef's kiss, the way that she was just dancing around with the blades and just the effects of him like dodging all their attacks. Like just yeah, I completely was eating my words when any criticisms that I had on the animation choice. I just think it fits so well in those action scenes, and it just looks so beautiful with the yeah, just like the neon lights that they had. So it was a cool little like B villain to have Spider-Man kind of dealing with, and then of course out of that it was revealed that maybe he's better off having someone in his ear, like providing some support, being that person in the chair. So yeah, I liked all of that for many different reasons, but yeah, I thought it was a fun, lower tier villain to clash with our Spider-Man here.
Yeah, I agree. I thought at first that it was well. I was trying to figure out who the bad guy was that was supplying them this stuff, and of course, after the fact, when we see who's really behind it, it makes sense. But it was just super weird when they put the money in the dumpster, and then this thing grows arms and crawls up the building and walks away. It's like this seems very counterproductive. But there was their case with their weapons in it, so that was that. But yeah, I felt like they could have been a little bit smarter. They felt like really dumb criminals because like Spider-Man was there, cops were there, like, oh, we're gonna go hit some more stores and robberies. It's like, man, you guys gotta like hit one and bounce and like play this off tactically. But that was not the case. He was basically like Quicksilver, and she was like a I don't even know what you call her an equivalent of, but she was slashing, he was running, kind of a thing.
Her blades kind of remind me of Psylocke from X
Yeah,
Men, the
yeah.
purple neon blade things, and then yeah, I definitely like Quicksilver. My mind was going like I think it's Makari from Eternals, like the fast lady,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah, it's a good
she didn't have tech
comparison.
for that. But
Mm-hmm.
anyways, cool. Yeah. Anything else on that? I was gonna talk
Uh,
about the Lonnie stuff now.
yeah. It was just in closing. I liked when Norman just chimed in there, and he was like, "Well, looking at every street cam on Spider-Man," and he's like, "I tapped into your radio with my satellite, and I'm gonna help you do this, Spider-Man." Like, it's just that caught me off guard.
Yeah, no, and like I pretty sure this is where he was talking about the Sokovia Accords and everything that was going on too with the Avengers. I thought that was really cool, them just talking about that. Um, even though this is like like a different multiverse or whatever, I just think it's such a cool thing that like we're in this era of the MCU that's like it's so established that like they could be talking about something like this going on, and even if it is a different multiverse, like we know exactly what that means. You know, it's like you're reading a comic book and they're addressing something that happened in like some completely different issue that like it was a big event, but like well, I don't know. I don't know all those deets. Like it's just kind of fun when things like that get mentioned. It's like, well, I know exactly about the Sokovia Accords and the way that they're talking about Cap and like even Nico's like, yeah, no, yeah, I always liked Cap, but like even what he's doing, I'm paraphrasing horribly, but just basically making it a little bit of a gray area on like what a true good hero is, and it's not just a guy in a suit that saves the day. Like even Norman is mentioning the Sokovia Accords and how if you're a super now, like you have to actually register, and that's just kind of the way that the rules, like how the law is played out in this universe. So it's fun that we're still, even though it's different multiverse, we're still staying true to like the rules of I don't know, rules of engagement with how
Yeah.
we handle superheroes. I just thought it was a really fun thing, and I'm curious where it's gonna go and like what extent of are we gonna be, you know, like having a Cap that's like on the run right now, like in this timeline. Like, is that a thing that I'm not saying it's gonna be a big main villain that we're interacting with, but like, is there gonna be some crossover? Because of course that's happened in the past in other animated shows. X-Men happen all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well said. It is funny how the Sokovia Accords is like that familiar crossover point. You think they would change it up, the dynamic of it a little bit? Like, I mean, are the Avengers the same in this universe? Could be different members.
Yeah.
The Sokovia Accords could have been a different thing, where like maybe Tony is the one who opposes it and Caps on that side of it. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah, we don't know all
who
the details.
knows?
Well, actually, they did mention that like Cap did it to help out his buddy, so then
Mm,
that would be pretty much the same. Z's. I mean, everything that they're painting it out to be seemed to be pretty identical to the good old 616 timeline, and even Ultron. They mentioned Ultron, how they built it, and then they had to destroy it, and it was just like, yeah, self-inflicted injury essentially. So it seems
Emily.
pretty true, although obviously there's character differences.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we never see Norman in the 616 aside from the one pulled from the Raimi verse.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as far as I know, like this whole universe could fit. Just the difference, obviously, is that this Peter Parker is not the same Peter Parker as the one in 616 based on his suit, his starter
Mm-hmm.
suit, and then obviously the advanced suits that he's got now. But I mean, it would otherwise track, at least in my opinion.
Well, you know he was in the multiverse movie somewhere, you know, or the Spider Verse
This
movie. I
one
mean,
was this one in the Spider Verse movie
I'm
somewhere?
just saying you could probably like stop a frame and there'd be like a million Spider-Men on the screen, and be like, yeah, he's probably in there at some point, you
I
know, like
would. I totally
even
agree.
going forward, like beyond this, I could very much see some of these characters pop into the next Spider Verse movie.
Yeah, yeah. Or retroactively, they just take the animation of this one and just put him in there. And I mean,
Yeah,
the movie's out in streaming. Who would ever really know, right? But
absolutely.
yeah, cool.
Yeah, Lonnie here. You know, he has to rush home. This poor guy, man. He just seems like such a standout guy. He's helping out his buddy. He's super pumped that they're getting A pluses. They're buying he's buying Peter's lunch for him, sacrificing his own nutrition for it, and then gets the call, has to go home. Weight of the world on his shoulders. Gets home. You know, the police are the front door. His younger brother's getting into some gang related activities, and he has to go save his brother and basically just do a trade, sign a deal with the devil. His brother's, you know, freedom for himself. He's part of the 10th Street gang or the 110 gang or something like that.
it's a
Um,
weird name. I couldn't
yeah,
tell you. The 110th or something like that.
the 501st, we'll just
The
call it.
501st, yeah.
But yeah, he's part of this gang now, and I don't think it's gonna be something that he's ever gonna get out of now. You know, like at the end of the last episode, there they just gave him his Tombstone name, which I was curious what type of villain he was gonna eventually become. Not that I, called it right away that he's gonna be a villain, but just with how it was progressing from this episode throughout the next two episodes as well. I just assumed it's gonna be like a very tragic, like villain origin story or something, and then yeah, I was just curious if it was going to be, I don't know, a Prowler or like one of those characters, but we got Tombstone, which is pretty B tier villain in my mind. Maybe I'm missing out on some like really deep Tombstone story, but this might go down as the deepest Tombstone villain arc of all time. So what do you think about this? I know it crosses over throughout the whole next episodes, but we're just kind of talking about him anyways. So whatever you want to say.
Yeah, again, my only ties to this character is the brief appearance in the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I guess
Mm-hmm.
not Into the Spider-Verse movie because he appears in there with Kingpin. That's it. I do not know much else about this character, but he is a villain in Spider-Man 2, is he not?
Are you
The
talking about?
PlayStation
He's
one.
like the first one. I didn't think
Oh,
he
in the
came
first
back for
one.
the second one,
Oh,
unless I'm
maybe I'm getting my
mistaken.
facts wrong. I've not played either of them, so I
Oh,
cannot
okay. He's definitely in the
confirm.
first one for sure. I just can't.
Okay.
I don't think he's in the second one.
Okay.
Pretty
Well,
much
there you
same
go.
though. He's like kind of a B villain. Like he's not the main head honcho, which he never really is.
Yeah, he's just kind of second to the big boss, which is what he is here too. I mean, he's not the big boss. He's seems like he's
Yeah,
making his way up
it
though.
could go
Yeah,
that
yet
way. It could
that's
very
true.
much go that way.
It could go that way. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how exactly I feel about him. I liked him being a good guy because he was having like a good time, and he was definitely he was yeah trying to buy lunch, and card was being declined, couldn't afford it, all that jazz. So,
Fucking lunch lady. Like just let him take it, man. Like Jesus.
yeah.
Like this guy's clearly down on his luck. Just let him take the fucking slog, whatever the hell they're eating there.
I'm super pissed at the brother though. I mean, he gets arrested by the cops, and then Lonnie goes into his room, and he's gone. He just goes back to play cards or go fish in
Yeah.
his fucking den. Like, what is this
They'll
kid
never catch me
doing?
here.
Yeah. Oh my god. So it just
I mean,
that
he's
pisses
young,
me
right?
off.
He's
He
young
is
and dumb.
young, but even that, so like in the situation, he's like, oh yeah, he doesn't want to go, but then Lonnie convinces him. He's like, okay, okay, fine. And then Lonnie, he gets caught. He's like, oh, I'll offer myself up instead. And then his brother's like, no, I want my brother. Let's go, let's go. Like, oh god damn. Then even when the guy they say like, oh, your brother seeked us out, all this kind of stuff, just mumbo jumbo. Just that bothers me. But now here Lonnie is. Lonnie
Yeah.
is now a member of the gang.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it hurts so much, right? And I think that's why in the end it's going to be such an amazing arc that we're going to go on with this character. And amazing in the it's going to be well written but horrible to witness and see just cuz it seems like he really is that strong pillar of his family. Like he just seems like he's the one anyone can lean on, put all the weight on his shoulders, and he's able to just do it. I mean, he's doing that in so many aspects of his life, whether it's yeah, his family life, his sports, his athletics. He's got scholarship, which is gonna go away. He's like good old Deborah Morgan in Dexter Original Sin.
That's
Like
right.
just saying goodbye. Like they got this really nice pathway to get out of a certain situation, but that's just not gonna be the reality. And then like what's if he goes full villain now, and like I'm not saying he's ready to go murder people, but like it seems like this was a big step in that direction of him starting to maybe seek solace or family or support or something with this gang, or maybe just admiration, which is I don't know. Now that I say that, like it's nothing he didn't already have, whether it was at school or friends or
Well,
family or
that's
anything
right.
like that. Um, I don't know. So yeah, I need a little bit more screen time, I guess, between him and the gang, and like what draws him away from like being the good guy to being the bad guy. Like if he's just forced in the situation. I mean, the game the name Tombstone. I imagine there's gonna be more that comes out of it from that. But yeah, I just think it's a really interesting start to Tombstone's career here, and I'm very interested in what's gonna happen next. Because if next episode happens and he's just like a dick to Pearl and he's like a dick to Peter, and like it's so like unwarranted, then I'm gonna have to like obviously dock up points from that way. I just think what they're setting up, it has potential to be a really really compelling villain arc.
I hope we don't get that scene where, he does something to Pearl and Peter's like, Lonnie, what's going on, man? And he turns like, name's not Lonnie, it's Tombstone, like something super corny and cheesy like that. No,
I don't
thank
want to
you.
fight you, Lonnie.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to fight me neither.
Yeah, none of that. None of that.
Yeah,
Oh my
none of
god.
that. Agreed.
Let's
Yeah.
jump to a quick ad break here before we carry on. And we are back. Where were you sending us there, Kirkland?
Next episode. Number
Next
4,
episode.
hitting the big time. We got Peter and Norman work through creative differences while Lonnie undergoes a loyalty test. So yeah, this is the big suit mashup episode, which I just thought was lots and lots of fun. I love the way that it started with Peter just doing his like super like socially anxious way of doing his science pitch to the good Dr. Whitman, and him just tearing it apart. And like, to Dr. Whitman's like credit, like he is basically teaching Peter that like to be in this field, like you do have to talk loud and like confident in your ideas, because there's always going to be the loud professor in the room that's just criticizing whatever you have. And if you don't believe in what you have, like how are you supposed to sell it to someone to like invest in it? So
Mm-hmm.
I actually really really like that scene from that character's perspective. And then I mean there's some good comedy in here that's sprinkled out, but I just love the sequence when Peter leaves. Like, okay, it's kind of weird that Norman's always asking for Peter, but whatever, he leaves. And then Amadeus Cho comes up. He's like, all right, Peter, get ready to take some notes on your way out. And then he just has like the dance music like playing, and he's just like doing like a super, I don't know. Have you ever seen Parks and Rec?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know Tom Haverford when he
Oh,
does
yeah,
his
yeah,
whole
yeah.
like just big entertainment 27 whatever the hell it's called,
Yeah,
and just like those types of shows with just the loud music. That's what it reminded me of him doing his science he pitched there, and it
Mm-hmm.
just made me laugh. I'm really loving the like the whole show is in comedy throughout. I think the way that it's used though, it's really effective for me. I find this show really really funny.
Yeah, I agree. I like that scene with the Professor Whitman and him just grilling the shit out of Peter. But it's funny because Peter, while he's quiet here and he's mumbling, when he's his alter ego as Spider-Man, the jokes are on point, his puns, he's landing it, he's loud, he's vocal, and he's such a different character. And then yeah, he turns back into like bumbling Peter Parker and whatnot. I think even when he's talking to Norman, he has that bumbling like da 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 with just being Peter Parker. But I think it was again last episode where Norman's in his office and Peter just is hanging upside down. He's like, "Hey, Norman," and Norman's like, "Wow, what are you doing?" Like scared the shit out of him. So stuff like that. Yeah, it's that humor is very funny, and just those differences between the two of them. But uh, yeah, I'm liking everything. I'm glad that we're seeing more of Peter back at Oscorp and him just kind of sticking around there, and I think that's going to lead to some fun stuff. And Harry, was the next episode they brought him into the fold, or this one?
At the end of this one, he
The end of
finds
this
out.
one, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then after that we get the suit sequence. I mean, it's a big part of
Mm-hmm.
this episode. He's trying out, and I did like that actually. Like he was doing certain crime fighting like with a suit on. It wasn't just like a mashup of him just trying like a shit ton of suits. Like he really, gave it a go, and just the whole breakdown of like, you got great demographics with this look. It's like I have demographics. Like this is amazing. So just that side of it, I thought was really fun. Very. I was very much thinking of The Incredibles though when I first saw that suit. I'm like, man, capes. Like capes is never a
Oh
good
yeah.
idea. And then yeah, first sequence, this is just good humor. It seems like we have the exact same like bully robber guy from the earlier episode, the guy with the glasses that takes the lady's purse, and then Spider-Man dealt with him pretty easily first time around, comes down here with the cape, gets caught, and then they just beat him like a pinata. I just laugh when he's like, are those help me get down? Like just they're doing a really good job with all the quirks that Spider-Man's delivering, or quips. Sorry, not quirks.
The quips, yeah.
Yeah. So, I thought all of that was lots of fun, and then yeah, you just went through the different suits. Was there one that you liked a lot that you're bummed he's not going to try?
Um, I mean, to be honest, like his original jersey look, it really really grew on me. I don't like how his web shooters got the cords dangling from that, but I
Mm.
just love his jersey a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but to be honest, I think that his suit that he ended up going with at the end, I was jiving with it. It's like a reverse Venom color scheme, but I
Anti
guess it's
Venom.
more.
Yeah.
Is that what it's actually called? The anti Venom?
Yeah. So in like Spider-Man 2 in that game, that's like the last, well, I don't know if it's the last suit that you get, but that's like a big story suit that he gets, like the anti-venom suit. And it looks pretty much identical to that. I think it's like a little bit more biochemical in nature, the one in the game versus this one. But the color scheme's like identical. And there is a character
Okay.
called Anti-Venom that it's the same thing. He's like all white and then has like black detailing, so it's just the reverse of Venom.
So is that the only reason why it's called anti-venom is because of the reverse color scheme, or does it actually have like preventative symbiote
Yeah, there's like
capabilities?
story reasons. I think the one in the
That's cool.
game is might be different. Sorry, it might differ a little bit from the like comic book rendition of it. I'm not too familiar with that version. More so just what I played through the game. But yeah, the game it's like it's made to defeat symbiote essentially. But yeah, I'm not too sure. And obviously, there's no mention of that at all in this. It's just a cool looking suit, and I'm
Hmm.
such a sucker for different outfits and suits. Obviously, the games do that so well. There's such a great variety of suits in there. So yeah, I just love seeing this little mashup. And the next Spidey game, like man, let's get all these suits in there. Let's do it. The
Hmm.
cape one too.
The cape one, yeah. Well, that dusk one that reminded me kind of like Night Monkey a little bit.
Yeah, very Night Monkey.
The Hornet one, that one seemed a little bit. It gave me Ant-Man vibes in a weird way, but like maybe like more RoboCop vibes.
With like the helicopter thing that he has on his hat,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
And the Prodigy one, that one just felt very. I mean, it's very cool, but very far from Spider-Man. That just felt like a Doctor Strange
Yeah.
something or other.
I love though just like the like just the banter that they had between the two of them, and it's like am I even Spider-Man anymore? It's like, well, what's making you stay Spider-Man? You know, like we can basically think about like the marketing
Hmm.
of this guy. Like, you know, you got the gyrocopter thing that you can just fly around with. It just completely defeats the idea of him being Spider-Man. It's just yeah, some good humor in there for me.
Hmm. Hmm. Cool.
Um, yeah, I already said I love the look of all the suits. I thought they were really fun. I love the sequence when the little girl loses her balloon. Um, I don't even. I'm assuming this is like a very iconic Spider-Man thing. 'Cause to me, it's very iconic. But like the little, there's always like a little kid losing like a red balloon. I'm more familiar with the balloon actually being like a Spider-Man balloon, and then and I think it's iconic just because I've seen a a Venom comic book cover of him like basically preying on like a child losing a balloon like that. So like just that imagery is really iconic to me. I think it appeared in the Ultimate Spider-Man game too back in the day, and it was great to just see because it's always attributed to me like a really like monster like event that's going on, and then of course it progressed into Spider-Man looking like a
Hmm.
monster. It's like, here you go, little girl, here's your balloon, and she's just like screaming in his face, like, get away from my child, you freak! Like, it was just again more humor that was working for me.
Hmm. I did not know there's this whole backstory to the balloons situation.
Yeah, and like again, like maybe I'm making it into a bigger thing than it is, but just to me, it's just every time I see a balloon, I'm like waiting for Venom or something to appear. So it's just some great imagery there. But
Nice.
yeah. What else do we have in this episode? We had Lonnie doing his chimichanga run to La Frescas. At first, I thought this female lady was gonna be like Scorpion, like this version of Scorpion. I thought they're gonna gender bend them, just because she has the Scorpion tattoo. It's revealed that that's the gang Scorpions, and we actually have a Mac Gargan, I think is what they called him. Um, and yeah, he wasn't really in this episode. Is more so just um, pretty much just having Big Don get Lonnie to go on this little just death trip essentially, right? Like it just kind of put his name in danger. Really dickish move, but that's what gang leaders usually do. And yeah, I don't know, not much else between them beyond that. Oh, we had the like the bank robbery scene thing with
Yes.
with a character that I'm like 90% sure is the Rhino, like the driver character. He's the exact same face that the original Rhino had from like the 60s show and like the original comic book. So I don't know, and I'm pretty sure the name that they said is his like actual name, like the character of the Rhino. I also just thought it was kind of funny how he's driving the van that has like essentially a rhino horn on the front of it, and he's like ramming through the vehicles. So I thought that was just a fun little play on that. It's not the last time we're gonna see that character because he's not dead or anything. You know, he's just
Hmm.
going away to prison, and they made a point of emphasis like him and Spider-Man are even now. Like next time I see you, you better not be looking for trouble. But yeah, I'm like 90% sure that is the actual Rhino character. And even if it's not, I thought it was a fun little appearance. Wow, I take that back. It better be the Rhino or I'm going to be disappointed. But yeah, anything on that scene or those characters?
Uh, I was trying to figure out the name. Did you happen to know what the name was of the
I'll
character?
get it. I'll pull it
Because
up here.
I was curious here. Because I was looking at Matt Gargan and just how he's connected, like to Adrian Toombs and whatnot. But yeah, I was curious what this guy's name was, and hopefully, if they do Rhino, they make him very much more comic book accurate in comparison to Craven's
Oh
Rhino.
God, these are very Russian names. So one of them is Mikhail Sisevich.
I like you got that accent in there too when you say
I
it.
hope it just comes out naturally the way the little letters are aligned. And Dmitry Smirdyakov. uh, Dmitry, that's not our boy Craven, is it?
That sounds like
He looks like a very Craven type character, the way that he's drawn at least. So like either Craven or Craven's Papa.
Sergey.
Who's is Dmitry Chameleon? I'm thinking of that movie now, and I swear there was a Dmitry mentioned, unless that was Papa.
Ooh, Dimitri is a chameleon. Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. So I mean, it probably doesn't say their last names on there, but I'm gonna say 90% sure Rhino is that character, and then
Mm.
yeah, why not? Let's get Chameleon in there, and we got the unicorn now. That's another lady. Oh, and then there was another one like Roxana or something like that. Was the fire? Yeah, Roxana Volkov. That was the other female in there, the one with like the punk hair.
Mm. That's
But
right. Yeah.
yeah, a gang of some misfits that they're not completely dispatched, and I'm sure we won't be seeing the last of them here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's
Got
cool.
Doc Ock here at the end too, with our one surviving character.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, that's where she gets the unicorn hat thing.
The helmet. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. Okay, that's kind of everything on this episode.
Yeah.
Let's keep on,
All
keep
right.
on. Next one is episode 5, The Unicorn Unleashed. Peter makes a new friend. Meanwhile, Lonnie finds himself in the sights of a dangerous gang. Yes, that new friend, of course, being Harry, Mr. Osborn's son, that was revealed at the end of episode 4. We got a nice little Spidey gang assembling here. Do you think we're gonna be adding another character, like maybe a Nico Minoru in that mix? You think it's inevitable? I think it's inevitable.
I think it's inevitable. I mean, everyone else is learning his identity. I mean, he already had that vision. Well, it was more like Norman just saying oh, I know you're Spider-Man. And then he was like with
Yeah.
Nico and she's like, "Oh, I know you're Spider-Man," but that was him just kind of being tormented by his own imagination a little bit. He's not really doing a good job at keeping this a secret because
Horrible.
horrible. Harry found out last episode, so I think it's only a matter of time before Nico finds out as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of just hoping that happens because I feel like the only relevance that character has is like anytime that Peter is like on screen with her, other than like maybe she calls and like, "Hey, why aren't you at this party with me? I'm pissed off, but not really. I'll see you tomorrow." so I'm just interested in that character. So I want to see more of her. So of course, to get more screen time, I would want her to be involved with the day to day actions of everything that's going on. I mean, Harry kind of makes sense, I guess, because we're mentioning Norman. Just yeah, I'm using my satellite to track you. I'm hacking in all these cameras. Like, how the fuck does this guy have time to do this? If he's like probably the busiest man in the world, like running like one of the biggest companies. How the fuck does he have time to just sit in his office and watch Spider-Man fight crime and support him
Mm-hmm.
undisturbed? Like no one like being around him or anything. So
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. Harry will be helping out a little bit more with that, but I would still love to see Nico a part of the crew just because yeah, she's an interesting character and I'm really liking their version of her. I think she's a fun character.
Yeah, I agree. Who do you think like we're gonna get with? Well, do you think Pearl's gonna be the one that's gonna be like connecting with Peter here? I don't necessarily see it, but maybe because
Like
Tombstone is becoming.
relationship wise, like
Yeah, because like
romance wise, yeah,
yeah, romance wise, because like Nico and Peter they're just friends. Harry and
yeah.
Peter are just friends, so that leaves Pearl. But I think I don't know with Tombstone kind of like becoming Tombstone, maybe that ends their relationship and Peter's the shoulder to cry on.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not really needing like a love interest right now in the story. Um, it's always a fun dynamic, I guess, to have, especially with Peter being like fresh high school kid. He drops the line to Norman with like the when he drops do not disturb mode, locks the whole room. It's like I need this for I bring ladies home, and then it's like, well, maybe one day when I actually do that. Um, but I don't know. I'm like I guess Pearl could stick around. I feel like when the inevitable tragedy of Tombstone happens, like she'll be really upset, and then Peter can be there to kind of support her. But I don't know. I just don't see much for like Pearl going forward throughout
Yeah,
the show being like an interesting love interest, like especially when you're thinking of the Gwen Stacy's, the Mary Janes. I mean,
Silk.
I'm just saying it. We got I'm 92% sure we got Cindy Moon out there swinging around trying to figure out her own Spidey powers right now
Mm-hmm.
and maybe getting that aroma. So yeah, that would be my preferred ship maybe if we were to go that route. But
Norman's gonna be hooking Cindy Moon up with some suits here soon.
yeah, I have nothing but time on my hands. Now that Harry's dealing with
Yeah,
Spider-Man, I'm hacking into everything to find Silk, see who the Cindy Moon character is.
yeah.
Actually, talking about Norman, I forgot to mention this. We already talked about him, but I thought it was really interesting him bringing the Sokovia Accord like attention to Peter and just talking about like that's what Peter was thinking out loud with of like, well, should I like does that involve me? Like, should I like basically declare that I'm a superhero? And it seems like Norman is very much against that idea. He's like, no, like don't worry, like I got legal teams that can handle this. Like I think for now we should just not worry about it. I think that is probably like a big underlining, maybe like a I don't know something that sticks with Norman in the sense of like the Avengers initiative isn't the right way to like stop crime or something, and maybe that would be like at an impasse between the Avengers are bad, like he's more on the extreme side. Maybe Peter is against that, and then maybe that's what really breaks them apart. I don't know, just the way that he was talking about the Avengers, it just kind of planted a seed in my mind of like, I feel like this might be something that he's pretty extreme on, and it sticks with him. But maybe I'm just reading into it. But I forgot to mention that when we
No,
were talking about Norman.
I think you're onto something with that. I think Norman probably likes the idea of having a superhero under his own thumb, someone that he can
Yeah,
not
for sure.
necessarily control, but someone that he can monopolize. Whereas the government, it basically has monopolized the Avengers with the Sokovia Accords and other superheroes in general that have to come forward, declare their status right as a superhero. So I think it gives Norman more power, and I think Norman Osborn has always been a man after power, and not always in an evil sense, but just because he's the leader of Oscorp, right? So that's his mo for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. Um, yeah, I was talking about Lonnie there. We got a little bit of. Oh yeah, we were starting with the Spider-Man team. They're gonna be working together. We got a little bit more Harry in this episode. I like the
Mm-hmm.
sequence when Nico was like interrogating Peter. It's like, how like why that guy driving to school? And she's just like shitting on the idea of him being like this celebrity. He's like, why do you follow him? It's like, well, obviously it's ironic. And I'm like, man, that is so funny. I feel like I air quote ironically follow certain individuals. I'm like, who the fuck would follow this person? And then I find myself following them. So it that one struck deep, Miss Nico, but it was a funny scene nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, Harry's just a little bit more popping around here. We learned that he's homeschooled, doesn't really get much interaction. 16 years old. He's doing a lot for a little 16-year-old, but yeah, he's probably going to be another one of our main crews going forward. What do you think about
Yeah.
this version of Harry?
I like it. I mean, he's a version that's kind of very innocent. And I liked when he got saved in that first episode by Peter, Spider-Man. So I just think that this is the baseline and the beginning of a good friendship. And again, it's totally different from what I'm used to. I'm used to uh, Harry Osborn. It's like I've nothing left except Spider-Man, kind of just hating his guts.
Took my father's love. Took
Yeah,
MJ's
yeah,
love.
just getting
Brother.
drunk and getting pissed off. That's the only version I know. So this is just a great alternative version, and I
Mm-hmm.
just like seeing that. I like knowing that Harry knows his identity and they're a team. I would be totally down to see Harry take up that mantle as Green Goblin Jr. and just get more of that Spider-Man 3 action where they're both
Oh
like
yeah.
teaming up against Sandman and Venom.
You came. Oh, I'm just thinking of that scene when he's all like fucking beaten up and bloody. He just looks up and Harry's there. You came.
Looks like just in the nick of time.
Yeah. Could have came a little sooner. Oh.
What a scene. God
I love it.
damn.
I love it. What else do we have in here? Oh yeah, this is just more of Lonnie basically making like, go down this path, stay with my football career and like stay on that trajectory, go down this path and I'll never be able to go to the NFL or anything like that. And he chose crime and I mean definitely not by his choice or anything like that, but yeah, that was a really hard scene to watch because it was just like, man, like all of this potential this guy could just have going for him, it's just being pulled away from him. And yeah, we didn't really see an interaction between him or Dre, so I'm really intrigued on how that'll go. And hopefully we actually get a scene because that would be pretty crazy if we don't get that addressed at all. Like Lonnie's just a death sentence now. He's got the Tombstone moniker, and it's all because of his younger brother trying to be a fucking gangster or something in the streets. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
We had the big clash at the end, gang wars. Basically like
Big
the scene from
Donovan
Anchorman.
takes a thing in the arm.
Well, it was Lonnie, right?
Well, Lonnie saves him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he take it in the arm though?
Oh, yeah, he does. Sorry, I thought, yeah, because Big Donovan doesn't get hit at all.
I think he I don't know. He's just beating the shit out of guys with his giant clubs that he's
Yeah.
got for hands. And it's funny because like his facial structure, it's like he's a much bigger man than what Uncle Aaron was in Spider-Verse, with like that
Mhm.
version of the Prowler. But like just his head with the beard, I'm like, man, this guy's kind of giving me Prowler vibes for some reason. He's got like a purple hoodie with it too. That's where, and like before we even got like a Tombstone or anything like that, I'm like, man, is Lonnie gonna be a Prowler? Like, are we getting Prowler in here? I feel like that's a very Miles Morales like centered thing, but I don't know. I think it could very much happen. Have a Prowler in here. I really like that villain. So, I'm not gonna put like high percentage thoughts on who I think the Prowler could be, or if it's Big Donovan or whatnot. I kind of think Big Donovan's just gonna remain that. Like he's not gonna be this villain or anything, like how a Kingpin is, or another super villain. I think it's just gonna be Lonnie that like grows into the next tier of a villain out of this game.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we sure will.
Harry commented on the suit at the end, how it's very sterile, I think was the word that they used for it. And then he's like, yeah, no, like I really just want more red and blue. And they're like Captain America. And then I just found it so funny how in this world, like he's big Captain America fan, and like they're red and blue as well. I guess Captain America's got some white in there, red, white, and blue. But I never once, like looking at Spider-Man, thought of like, man, that's kind of like Captain America colors. Like never once until that he mentioned it here. I'm like, oh wow, yeah, really red and blue. But I don't know, just the way that it's designed. Usually, I don't think of Captain America at all. And I think Captain America, like Captain America without the shield, is that even Captain America? It's just a super soldier, right? Like unless he
That's
has
right.
the shield, I feel like that is the symbol that is Captain America. I mean, it is. It is his symbol, but yeah. Anyways, I'm just ranting about colors and super suits here, but I thought it was a funny scene and excited to see that next version of the suit because it doesn't seem like he's going to be holding on to the white one for a while.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Cool.
And then yeah, it was just the clash between the unicorn lady and that we already talked about. Yeah, we kind of talked about everything: the football, the gang wars. Gargan was ready to fucking murder Lonnie right in the street with that claw. I thought that was pretty bold, but he was gonna do it. But yeah. Oh, and then just Doc Ock. We got a little bit more scenes of him interacting with his lab rat guy. Like, what's his motivation here? He kind of talked about something, but I'm misremembering now.
I felt like he just wanted to take over the city, kind of a thing.
Just the classic.
I think
Yeah.
so. He's not building the power of the sun in the palm of his hand. Here.
Yeah.
That's
I
different.
love
Doc
that
Ock.
they have like the original design for him though, like just the art
Yeah,
style
that
for his face.
haircut.
Oh, and the suit with the goggles, like
Yeah.
it's fantastic. I think it looks so good. And again, like with the color palettes that they have, it's like classically drawn, but with like a modern coat of paint on it with the just the palette that they're using and with the animation. It looks phenomenal. So I love me some good Doc Ock, and yeah, I'm excited to see him get his collage.
Yeah, when the arms come out, that'll be pretty cool. I can't wait to see that fight scene. That fight sequence will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's interesting how we have like some villains that are completely redesigned, and then someone like that is like just ripped right out of his original version. There's no like special like he doesn't have a different name. He's the exact same down to the robe and goggles, but I like it.
Me too.
I have nothing else to say. I think we got it all. I'm loving the show. I think it's fantastic, and yeah, 3 episodes again next week. So this is kind of the how they're gonna end it here, because this was 5, so 6, 7, 8, and then there's 11 episodes. So yeah, it'll be 2 more batches, which is kind of crazy. Like only 2 more weeks, like only 2 more reviews that we'll have for the show. Next week's the penultimate.
Yeah, and
That's weird, eh?
I'm to believe Travis and Dylan will be there for that.
Ooh.
They're
I believe
behind.
nothing till it
5
happens.
episodes back.
I feel like it's just been you and me doing reviews for the last 3 months. That's I don't know if I've been in a fever dream, but that's how it feels.
Didn't Travis come out of retirement? What is this? He's just not even here. I don't know.
No, he's too busy pushing this channel or something. He's trying to get the MMX.
That's right. That's right. No, he'll be there for Dex Original Sin with you, because I'll be on hiatus then. But
I'll do the service of just hearing all of his ranting and raving.
You're gonna get just fucking grilled like Peter and the Professor Wilcox or whatever.
I'll drop him.
Shut the fuck up!
I got him good last night because the newscast went on for like almost 3 hours, and I dropped that hey, and holy shit, it scared him.
He wasn't ready for it. He been out of the game too long. That's so funny.
But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of GeekVerse podcast review of Spider-Man. We will be back, as Kirkland alluded to there, next week to continue on with the spoilers review of this fantastic show. So until then, you can find us all over the interwebs, the interconnection, and we'll see you soon. Have a good one.
Bye.